The 18th century Queen of France heard that the French subjects could not even afford bread. She is credited with saying, "Let them eat cake." Whether we accept it or not, King Louis XVI and his wife certainly had a callous attitude towards their subjects. Did you think that the high price of bread was the only reason why the French people revolted against their king? Or were there other reasons too? Come, let's find out. In the 18th century, France was already a territorial state ruled by a monarch, Louis XVI, who came from the House of Bourbon. He was 20 when he ascended the throne in 1774. He was married to Marie Antoinette, the Austrian princess. Upon his accession, the new king found an empty treasury. France's financial resources had been drained by years of wars. The cost of running an expensive court in Versailles' massive palace was added on top of that. France under Louis XVI helped the 13 American colonies in gaining independence from Britain, their common enemy. The state had already been in debt of 1 billion livres, and this war doubled it to 2 billion livres. The lenders who gave credits were charging a hefty interest of 10% on these loans. A heavy burden indeed. Another growing problem was the population of France, which rose from 23 million in 1715 to 28 million in 1789. This led to a rapid increase in the demand for food grains. Grain production has not been able to keep up with the rising demand. Therefore, the price of bread, which was a staple food, rose rapidly. Workers who worked in workshops were given a fixed wage that had not increased to match the rising prices of food and other basic necessities. As a result, the gap between the rich and the poor widened. When the harvest was affected by drought or hail, things got even worse. A food crisis emerged. Now, what do you think a ruler would do to generate revenue? The king had to increase taxes to maintain institutions such as the army, government, universities, and the court. So, who actually paid taxes? Only the third estate paid taxes. And who were they? The old regime or social system in French society had existed since the Middle Ages and was divided into 3 estates: the clergy, the first estate, the nobility, the second estate, and the common people, who were called the third estate, which was comprised of the rest of society, including businessmen, peasants, court officials, lawyers, artisans, servants, laborers, and the army or building roads. The clergy also imposed their own form of tax called the tithe. The state imposed a direct tax called taille and a number of indirect taxes which were levied on articles of everyday consumption like salt or tobacco. Imagine being a working class French citizen and bearing the burden of a 2 billion livres debt on your shoulder as a collective working class. Now, would you not be motivated to start a revolution? Philosophers put forth ideas questioning the powers of the church, the monarchy, and suggested an elected government through representation. One philosopher, Montesquieu, proposed a system of 3 equal independent branches of power: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Let us France is like a pressure cooker now and ready to blow off steam at any time. What will happen to King Louis XVI and the heavily taxed Third Estate? Let us move towards 1789 and learn more about how the revolution happened and its aftermath.